And hello to all friends, potatoes are with you. Today is the second part of the fashion guide and version 1.16.5. But before you start watching, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like it, and also click on the bell, so as not to miss the most interesting new videos. Well, we're starting. So we stopped with you in the research section, and we didn't make just 2 tabs with you. This is an eyepiece and also a star altar. First, let's look at what an eyepiece is. First of all, we make it from 4 sticks, a gold ingot, a board, and also glass lenses in a luminous workbench. So, we spread the craft on our ultrachrome workbench, but in fact this is far from the limit. We activate it, look at this beautiful craft, and here we get an eyepiece. By the way, just the same night he will need to use. But before that, you will need to find various scrolls that I have already told you where to look. It's in these various structures that you meet around the world, and we can have various constellation documents with the right constellations, or then with the right ones. In general, at first, we have access to the rift, the shield, the threshold, eternity, and also the whirlpool. Poke shifts with the PCM astral house through the air, and your inventory opens. You can't put anything here except just the same, these documents of constellations. I suppose let's take I don't know, the threshold. In my opinion, we should have a threshold in the sky. In general, look, this is how it looks like here. Here we show, in what stages of the moon, this constellation will be visible, that is, when we do not have a moon at all. Then growing. In general, let's check now if we simply poke the PCM in the sky, and look like this in the sky. We should see various big stars, but now there are none. Look, now we have here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 stars like this. You will need to find now about the same little whistle, not about the same, but exactly the same, in which we have the position of these stars corresponds. In my opinion, if I'm not mistaken, then this is it. Look here, we have 1, 2, 3 of these on the right, and somewhere here, and I've already lost it. So in my opinion this is it, yes. In short, we remember here we have a constellation. Now we remember how it connects with us, that is, there should be a single line like this, and then, roughly speaking, such a circle of a curve. In general, let's do it now. I pinch the shift, and I have my mouse. I can literally lead by pressing them, like this hop, like I pinched the cam, and made one line. Then, I make another line, another one, connect it right in the same way as on our constellation, and get a constellation. Look, here it is. Now I see clearly that's the achievement. And now we have such a constellation formed in the sky. It is directly visible, it is illuminated like this. And when you open the next constellation, maybe we will find something else now. In general, something is spinning now, and I don't see a single constellation, so let's not dwell on it. Do you know that you can study all the constellations now already at this stage? And you, by the way, will have a new tab in the book opened here, the constellation. Here you will be shown which constellations you have studied. Let's say we have eternity. You can see it here when it is visible. In general, something like that. Now let's look at the next level of the altar. It's called here, I honestly forgot, so let's take a quick look at the star altar. To craft it, you will only need 4 marble pillars, 2 hammered marbles, a bucket of starlight, and also a mountain crystal. This is the whole thing you lay out on the altar. Magic happens here, and our table turns into a star altar. In fact, you will need it to work. As you can see now, we don't have any scale, because they need a whole structure. In order to build this structure, you will need as many as 8 chased marbles, 28 marble arches, 24 marble bricks, 21 sooty marble, 8 pillars, and of course our star altar. You can see how to build it in the book here on the next page. In principle, everything is described here. Here it turns out, 4 blocks in height, and 9 by 9. In general, let's quickly organize it somewhere now. Let's say here, I dig out 1, 2, 3, so 3 by 3, and put here the centers, and the fathom of marble, and of course, in the star altar. Then I add, by the way, he is already beginning to suck in all this energy, which is also not there, roughly speaking, but okay. Let's make these add-ons here. Then we take marble bricks, we put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here, and 1 here, necessarily exactly like that. And here we put hammered marble in the corners, and here, of course, bricks. We do this from all sides. Then, we take the stamp, and simply from all sides, so that's how much it turns out here. We put 7 blocks. Then we put the finishing touch, from just 2 columns on each side, and put hammered marble on top of them. 1, 2, 3, and 4. All of our altar needs to be completed. Yes, now even we have everything, despite the fact that there are such knitters here, but we will also remove them, and in general. Now with 2 additional power supplies like these, we have so much energy. This is actually really quite a lot, and should be enough for almost everything. And when you make this altar, you will open a new chapter. The attunement is called. We already have a lot more here, and today we will look at almost the entire chapter. The first thing you will need is a binding tool like this. You need to consider it as a wrench in general, for crafting. It is made on the star altar. There are already 4 sticks, 2 logs, 2 cavamarine, and also a mountain crystal. Let's take the whole thing, and quickly see how to craft our altar. So here we are laying craft. In my opinion, I somehow did it wrong, or maybe so. In my opinion, like this, and like this. Everything is yes. We get an op with you, activate it. Consider that the crafting process is absolutely the same. The effect is the same. By the way, we have clouds on top of this light, and finally we get, yes, we even have a visp, we get our binding tool. We can't use it in any way yet. We can just say on the ground, let's say for some reason a star altar has been chosen, and in principle nothing is written, but now you will understand why it is needed. Next, I advise you to make such a crystal lens. You will need it in order to redirect starlight where you need it. It is made on the star altar, with the help of 3 glass lenses, 2 aquamarines, a rock crystal, 2 engraved saturated woods of golden light, and also 2 chronic marbles. So we take this whole thing, take another look at this most beautiful craft. I actually just love crafting on this table, because well, it's very beautiful. That's it, we get 7 crystal lenses. In fact, crafting is quite profitable. To demonstrate their work, I will take a naturally binding tool and a threshold crystal in the collector. Well, roughly speaking, the crystal that you can find in the world. Let's imagine that the crystal is somewhere here. Well, let's say it emits a certain light in our country. It can be tied to something, let's say to the altar. We can try to do this. So we don't have enough shorter distance, and just the same crystal lenses will solve this whole problem. We take a lens with you, and tie this crystal to this lens. Look what's going on. We have a beam of light going straight to this lens. Then we can, let's say, tie this lens to another lens. So that this is how we have it first of all, and now this beam goes here. Now we can, let's say, link it here, but this is so roughly speaking, and nothing will happen, because in principle nothing can happen. But in fact, this is necessary, in order, let's say, to move on to the next step, and it is now with the help of our starlight, that we can transmute various objects. Let's say, sand, diamonds, pumpkin, sea lantern, sandstone, and finally iron ore. This is the most important thing. Let's see how it's all done now. We can spin it directly from this crystal, or somewhere at home, from this crystal light, summed up with the help of these lenses. Let's imagine the first option, that you came to this crystal, put here, I don't know, 6 sandstones. How do you do what? You just take a binding tool, tie this crystal to each block. And now watch what happens. First of all, we are undergoing transplantation. Transmutation is going on here. In this case, sandstone, we are doing Vdernyk. Then look, why don't we have these ones transacted? And why? Because we don't have direct contact here. That is, it is imperative that this color, here you can see 3 such rays coming out, fit directly and nothing interfered with you. Here, we have this. Then we can, for example, make a sea lantern, a pumpkin and diamond ore. Let's see what happens. We have a sea lantern turns into lapis lazuli. We can also sand. So, our sand has already been transported, turned into clay, then, our pumpkin turned into a cake. And finally the longest mutation is a diamond. Looking ahead, I will say that we will turn it into an emerald. You can do the same with this lens. By the way, we have an emerald, but we will now look at the most important thing right away. This is iron ore. And let's say, 1 iron ore. By the way, we have a lens that can receive a lot of light, but give only 1. Well, roughly speaking, there can be a lot of things coming in, and only one direction, but this is logical. Therefore, let's now bring this lens to this iron ore, and look at the mutation going on. What are we going to get now? Very interesting. And you and I get star metal ore. You can get a star metal ore oddly enough. You can melt this ore into a star metal ingot simply by melting it down. Because of this ingot, you can make these very beautiful blocks of the starter. They have their own animation, so they wink. Very beautiful, straight space cannon bomb. And you can also make a cutter like this for a starter. It is made on the star altar, with the help of 3 pieces of gold, 2 boards of saturated wood, and also a startle ingot. You take your startala ingots, and oddly enough, they have the same stiffness, but you can grind this ingot into dust. How to do it? You just throw it on the floor somewhere, and poke the paintwork, holding this cutter in your hand, on this ingot here. It means you get stardust. It's very strange, yes, that is, they have the same density, but somehow turns into dust, but let's say, from this stardust, you can make various useful crafts. Let's open our little book. In general, let's see what we have studied with you now. You and I have studied all this, studied it, and got to this dust. Now we have a fork. First of all, we can immediately improve our heavenly altar logically, but it's still too early, as it were. We haven't studied anything here yet, that's all. So let's move on to the Heavenly Gate. The Heavenly Gates are made of 2 stardust particles, 2 gold ingots, 2 glass panels of night powder, a rock crystal, 2 chronic marbles, and finally stardust. Let's lay out this beautiful craft once again. We get it. By the way, look here, we also have a very beautiful animation. The zone is literally highlighted by some kind of cosmic impulses. And we are absorbing starlight, we get a stargate. Looking ahead, I'll tell you what you will need at least for such things, otherwise it's just useless. Because it's a teleport. You can put it, and this is how this thing looks like. You can even enter it, and in principle it is intangible, but it is just incredibly cool if you build a structure. For the structure, you will need 20 marble arches, 25 fathom marbles, for runic marbles, and finally, for 1 marbles. So, let's put this structure somewhere, let's say. How to arrange it, you can see in the little book, here is the second page, it's quite simple to do, just, that is, a 5x5 platform, and a lot of marble. Here it is, we put the Heavenly Gate in the center, and then we take our marble arch here, we force this whole thing. Then we put runic marble here in the corners, and we put hammered marble on it, or rather it's 1 marble, I'm sorry. And we get our structure, and immediately something happened. What was that? First of all, look, we have other cosmic impulses here. When you come here, as you approach the center, everything starts to darken like this. Namely, you have a sphere in front of your eyes, look here, that is, I move to the center, and the sphere increases with us. Eventually the stars appear. We have stars like this, they stand out in this color. And what does that mean? It means that there are other portals that I have already built in advance. That is, there we have such a portal, and here we have the same portal. They are absolutely identical, I did not name them in any way, and by the way, you can call them, in my opinion, in the anvil. In general, let's see how to teleport here. You may think that you need some kind of starlight, something else. In short, there should be some energy, and something will be spent. In fact, nothing like that. You can just even prescribe a day. Let me do it now. Here's 1200, here the sun is shining, but it's that Kent still works. Let's say I'm looking at our portal. What should be done? I am such a PCM, and nothing happens, but there is actually something, some impulses. I just clamp the PCM, we have this animation going on, and we are literally moving to this portal, without losing anything. We can teleport to another one, choosing about this asterisk, and here's hop. We teleported with you. And moreover, the movement can be carried out as much as you want. The main thing is that it was in one world. This was the first application, finally normal already Astral Sorcerer. Now let's look at the others, namely the staffs. The first 2 staffs, we will have a forming rod, and also a transforming rod. These are construction staffs. The formative is made of 2 stardust, 2 purple dyes, and also 3 chronic marbles. And the transformative one is made of star dust, 2 diamonds, and also 3 chronic marbles. Let's take these 2 staffs, let's also take Dune, to show you how it works in general. I take the first one, the formative one, so it has several modes. The first mode is like this, it sets blocks from that plane, as far as we reach. This is also limited to stellar energy, that is, here we have a scale, and that is, we can build a certain length. Let's say, we have everything built on PCM and op. Another PCM, it was built, great, we can now build. It means the following modes. Press the button with the PCM through the air, the direction from the player. Here, it is perfectly noticeable that we can build bridges like this, and also ladders. Let's say a hop, and from a player, we have built such a path here. The next mode is our horizontal plane. This is how we will have it. We also have a vertical surface. We also have a sphere, which also consists of these blocks inside, and we also have an empty sphere, which we have empty inside, like this. And that's it. This is the end of the functionality of this staff. We move on to the next one. It is a transforming rod. It will be much easier to work with us. Let's say we choose the turf, and now we can poke the FC shiftly through the air to choose the sizes. The maximum size we have is 1C, the minimum is 5. Let's say I'm pointing with you here on this plane, I can replace 5 with 5 of these stones here. The next one is the pulse rod. It is made of 2 blue dyes, stardust, and also 3 chronic marbles. We take it ourselves, and we have a very cool staff. You can't even imagine what meaning it has. You will, let's say, stand still, clamp the PCM, and you shoot right out of the center of the body, right out of the center. Who understands what she understands, and who does not understand? Most likely no one understands, but it generally does not matter. But it's very. I do not know who the author of this mod is, but he is a very gifted person. We, roughly speaking, shoot with our astral tentacle and cling to objects. The next staff is a bypass rod. It is made of 2 ender pearls, stardust, diamonds, also 3 chronic marbles. We take it ourselves, and there is already a staff here, a little more interesting, but less realistic. In general, it has as many as 2 functions, shift plus PC change, throw, and also flicker. Flickering is just teleportation, just like Enderman, let's say, that is hop. There is also another mode we have, this is a throw. Here we can as we pinch, and push off like this, but if we squeeze hard, we'll squeeze right specifically. We'll spend all the stellar energy, we'll fly right away very much, but if we pinch up again, let's see now where we'll fly. It's just 10. We are flying away very much, it's a lot, so be careful. In principle, we have everything but 2 on this branch. The heavenly altar, of course. Then we will consider the resonator house, we will also consider it with you a little later, because now we simply cannot apply it anywhere. Next, let's look at this improved eyepiece. It's called a telescope. Basically, it's the same as an eyepiece, only a little better. Our telescope is made of an eyepiece, 2 gold grids, a board, and also 3 sticks. In general, we have received such a telescope, it looks very nice in our hand. You can see right there it's so tri-dash, and in fact, it's practically the same as an eyepiece. Let's put it up. This is how it looks. We can go into it like this, and just here we have everything static like this. We poke at these arrows, and we see that now we have various constellations here somewhere that we have discovered or that we have not discovered. In general, somehow this way you will be able to study all these constellations. And I also want to tell you that when our day changes, all these constellations move, that is, this confirms that they are roughly speaking spinning, or rather this Earth is spinning around its axis, and thus our sky changes a little and accordingly, the position of the stars. Well, there was a potato with you, be sure to subscribe to the channel, put likes, write comments, and also just be sure to click on the bell so as not to miss the most interesting new videos.